Jets.
The Jets.
The Jets. The New York Jets.
The Jets Ward.
Jets, Jets. What is going on, Jet fans? And welcome back to another episode of the Jets Ward. I am your host, Ryan Ward, and I hope you guys enjoy the new intro. Fun point out, I'm a shout out the guy who made it, my student teacher, Dylan. Thank you for making it. It's awesome. He made my intro and a new outro that you guys are going to be seeing, so shout out to him. And did a great job. I love it. And welcome, guys. I got a fun one for you guys in this video. But first, if you've been here before, welcome back. You know I love having you guys here in the Jets Board. It is a safe space for you. If you are new here, whether you're a Jets fan, a fan of another team, or just a casual NFL fan, you are always welcome here in the Jets Board. It is a safe space for you. And guys, I have a fun one. Like I said at the beginning, I think this one's going to be a good one for you guys because lately I've just been focusing on the Jets because the season has started. The team has really been down. They played a good fourth quarter against the Buccaneers this past week and almost pulled it out against them. But the Jets have fallen 0-3. And I'm talking a lot about the Jets because they are my favorite team. But I wanted to shout out other teams as well because there's been a lot of rumors about possible players that could be getting traded. And talking about the trade deadline, which isn't here until November 4th. So I wanted to talk about, and I know it's probably early, I did a video on the Jets that you could check out on my channel, players that I think the Jets could possibly trade by the trade deadline. But now I'm going to branch it out to the NFL, other teams, and focus on players around the league and on teams that might not be doing as well, or even some really good teams that could possibly be moving some big name players. Some be obvious, some you might have heard of, and others are just from my pure opinion and what I think could definitely happen. So I hope you guys enjoy. And the first player that I'm going to bring up is a player that has been rumored to be getting traded at some point. I think it's definitely going to happen. And that is wide receiver Tyreek Hill. Guys, the Dolphins have been a disaster so far. Just like my New York Jets, they are 0-3 and have not looked good. Their offense has looked very bad. Tua has not looked great either. And Tyreek is very frustrated. It's obvious that he's frustrated. He doesn't like the head coach. He's not getting the deep ball as much anymore. And the offense seems like it's getting stale, and Tyreek Hill is getting frustrated. And we've had rumors already about the Pittsburgh Steelers are checking in on him. The Kansas City might want a reunion, and other teams that could be in on him as well. And I think he's going to get traded. And I think that he'd go for a second-round pick at best case scenario. I think he could still go for a second-round pick because he's still got great speed. He's got solid hands. I know he's been dinged up in recent history. If you could deal with his off-the-field issues, he could be a slam dunk for any team that trades for him. At worst, fifth-round pick because he has been seen as a knucklehead off the field. He's been going through some issues off the field, not being one of the best teammates in the locker room, and having some clashes with coaching. So if you can deal with that, he might be worth a shot. So best case second-round pick, worst case fifth-round pick. But again, best fits New England or Pittsburgh, I think could be the best fit for him. Matching him up with DK Metcalf at one side, him on the other, and then having Aaron Rodgers throw it to you. You can line him up on the outside, line him up in the slot, and have Roman Wilson on the outside or Calvin Austin II on the outside with DK. It's a great spot for him, and I think Aaron Rodgers would love to have a player with his speed and skill set on his roster. Then there's Kansas City. He was drafted there, played most of his career there, and had most of his success there in Kansas City. Won Super Bowls there. I think he would love getting back to Aaron Rodgers, and Mahomes would love, or Aaron Rodgers, Andy Reid, and Mahomes would love having him back as well. And that could be Kansas City's desperate for a weapon. He could be the best case for them. And then there's New England. I think New England could definitely use another receiver. Kyle Williams looks good, but Stephon Diggs hasn't been doing great either. Drake May's been struggling. They don't have a lot of weapons. So Tyreek Hill going over there could give them a legit number one receiver and then some good complementary pieces. So Tyreek Hill, I definitely think is going to get traded. I predict he gets traded back to Kansas City. I just think there's too much smoke going around, and when there's smoke, there's fire. So I think he gets back there. Next guy I could definitely see getting traded is Ramondre Stevenson. He's falling down the depth chart to being looked at as like the third running back on the New England Patriots. And it was crazy because he was recently just the number one running back there. But now he's fallen down. TreVeyon Henderson looks like he's the number one back, a guy they just drafted. And they got Antonio Gibson as well, who's been doing good at kick returns and as backup running back. Ramondre Stevenson, I think, ends up getting traded. I just think he needs a fresh start, new scenery. He's not getting utilized in that offense over there. So best case scenario, I think you can get him for a third-round pick. I think he's still got a lot left in the tank. He's a bruiser back, decent speed, tough player. Worst case, you can get a sixth-round pick. Running backs, he's getting older. Running backs getting older don't really translate to better years later down the road. So I honestly think that what he's going to end up going through, I look more at the worst-case scenario because running backs don't normally go for very, very high prices. So best fits for him, again, I'm going to mention Kansas City. Their running game is putrid. Isaiah Pacheco has been out dealing with some stuff. Kareem Hunt has not looked great. Ramondre Stevenson could give them a burst in that running back room. Tennessee, I definitely think, could use another running back as well. They have Tony Pollard, but I think they need a big pounding bruiser back to help him out, and that could be Ramondre Stevens' role. And Washington as well. They traded Brian Robinson Jr. away. And now they're relying heavily on Ja'Cory Crosby-Merritt. And I think you want somebody to come in, take some of that punishment off him. Ramondre Stevenson, I think, could be a great number two back, a power back on short yardage downs, goal line downs. I think he would be a great fit for Washington as well. Now, getting into the third one, I got Russell Wilson. I understand a lot of people don't think he's going to get traded. He hasn't asked for a trade since being benched for Jackson Dart, who will be making his first career start against the the Los Angeles Chargers. There doesn't seem like any ill will. He doesn't seem like he's bitter. He still considers himself a starter and a winner in this league. He's old and he hasn't looked good. He looked good in the Dallas game, but Dallas' defense is awful. Russell Wilson has not looked great, and I think he's washed. But teams that could definitely use him, New Orleans could definitely use a veteran quarterback over there. With Spencer Rattler, who did not look great this past weekend, and Tyler Shuck could use a mentor like Russell Wilson over there. Bring him in, see what he can do. You're not going anywhere this year anyway, in my opinion. The team's not that great. And so if he doesn't work out, you draft somebody next year or get some picks, trade back if you believe Tyler Shuck is the answer, and just see what you can get. If he does win you some games, then you're better. Then maybe you can squeak some games out in that division. I don't know. Buccaneers are 3-0, but they haven't looked great. And now they're without Mike Evans for a little while. So Russell Wilson's could definitely go to New Orleans. Minnesota as a veteran backup. I heard they're interested in Kirk Cousins, but any backup could be very good for McCarthy. And I don't know how much you're going to trust Wentz either. So Russell Wilson over there could be a very good option. And Cincinnati, they're desperate. Joe Burrow's on the IR. They're desperate for quarterback help right now. They signed Mike White. They signed Wolford. But again, those aren't great options either. Browning did not look good against the Vikings. They got blown out by them. Russell Wilson can go over there, and you got Jamar Chase. You got T. Higgins. You got Iosovas. You got all these receivers, two tight ends that are solid. A running game, if you can get Chase Brown going, maybe he would fit in Cincinnati. In my opinion, I don't know if he gets traded. I could definitely see best case scenario, a fourth rounder for him. Worst case, a sixth. I don't think he gets traded. I think he ends up staying just in case something happens to Jackson Dart. I see more likely that Jameis might get traded, but we'll see. If I could definitely see him getting traded, but we'll see what happens. Number 4, sticking with the Giants, and that's going to be the next couple of picks with Giants. I got Kayvon Thibodeau. I think this one's coming down the pipeline. I think they want to see more of Abdul Carter. Kayvon Thibodeau has already been getting interest from other teams, and there's a couple teams on this list that I think could definitely use him. I think he's more of a D-end rather than an outside linebacker, but he's been playing there, and he hasn't done awful. I think as just a blitzing primary D end, I think he could be fantastic. I think there's still a lot of upside with Kayvon Thibodeau as long as he keeps his head in it. At best, you can definitely get a second-round pick for him, in my opinion. He was a high first-round pick, and I know he hasn't lived up to that stature, but he's still a solid player and still has a lot of athletic ability. Maybe the defense isn't just the right fit for him, and he might need a change of scenery. Worst case, a fourth, and that's still not a bad pick. Now, teams that I think he could fit best with, Detroit, I've been saying it since the offseason if he were going to get traded. Detroit, I think, is the best fit for him. Having him across from Aiden Hutchinson, I think could be a dominant edge duo. The Jets I also have on here, and the reasoning I say that for the Jets is he can come in as a young player and give Jermaine Johnson some breather. Or the Jets are desperate for linebackers right now. If you really do see him as an outside linebacker, have him as an outside linebacker, as a weak side linebacker or a strong side linebacker. Quincy Williams is hurt right now. Marcelino McCrary Ball. I can't say his name. McCrary Ball is on the IR as well. So you're relying on Francisco Mauigoa, who is a rookie, a new guy, Robinson, that you just took off the Patriots practice squad. Maybe Kayvon could be an answer for you at outside linebacker, and he wouldn't have to travel very far. So maybe that could be an option for the Jets. We have a ton of late-round picks that we might be able to swap for him. Or Baltimore. Baltimore could always use more defensive help. Their defensive line has not been great so far. Odafe has not got it rolling yet. Maybe Kayvon Thibodeau could go to Baltimore and become a stud that everybody thought he was going to be when he was drafted by the Giants. But I think the Giants do trade him. Could definitely see him landing in Baltimore. But Detroit is the team that I really, really think is going for him. I think the Jets are a long shot for him. But getting into number 5, I got Jalen Hyatt. They're not using him. Giants aren't using this kid. He's not that old. He's only 24 years old. And the Giants are refusing to use him at all. And he's talented. He's not the most athletic. He's very fast. He's got solid hands. Route running could improve a little bit. But he's not a locker room issue. He's not an off-the-field issue. I don't know why the Giants are refusing to use him. He could be a solid receiver for you. I know they're using Wan'Dale Robinson. He's solid. You're using Malik Neighbors, who is a stud, as we know. Jalen Hyatt could be a solid outside or a slot receiver for you. It could be a matchup nightmare for a lot of defenses. So I have no idea why the Giants are not using Jalen Hyatt at all. Best, I think you can get a third for him. I think he could be a big matchup nightmare. I don't think very limited at what he's been getting. So not much to look at. So that's why I think a third, at worst a fifth, I think you can get for him. And I think the Jets would be very smart in targeting this young kid. We're targeting younger players. Jarvis Brownlee Jr., who was just drafted last year, who has starting experience and is a fantastic tackler. We just traded for, and we got traded due to late round pick swap. We traded a 7th and we traded a 6th and got a 7th and Jarvis Brownlee Jr. I think we could do something very similar, might be a little bit more picks, with Jalen Hyatt. I think he fits the Jets wide receiver room perfectly. And again, this wide receiver room for the Jets, other than Garrett Wilson, there's not really much answers right now. So worst, I think 5th. Another team, Arizona, I think could definitely use another wide receiver. It's other than Marvin Harrison Jr., who's struggling at this point, they could definitely use some more help. And New England too. I think New England desperately needs to add another weapon for Drake May because it's been a struggle for him so far. And adding another weapon, young weapon, would not hurt either. So continuing on, getting into my 6th one, Trey Hendrickson. I think this one's coming, guys. If Cincinnati starts losing more games, I think this one is coming. And there have been teams that are interested in him. He's only on a 1-year deal. I think best case scenario, you're definitely going to have to give up a 1 for him. He's fantastic, dominant on the defensive line, at worst a 3rd. And teams that I think fit, if the Detroit Lions don't go for Thibodeau, Hendrickson would be much better for them. Dominant figure. Dallas, I think, could definitely use him as well. And they have an extra first-round pick that they could ship over to Cincinnati now to get him. I think that would make sense. Vegas as well. Their defensive line is not great other than Max Crosby. So bringing him in could definitely give some offensive line some hell over there, having to deal with Crosby and Trey Hendrickson now. But those teams are some of the teams I think could fit with him. And I really, really think Dallas pulls the trigger on this one because their run defense is bad. Their defense just in general is bad. Adding Trey Hendrickson could definitely bolster that defense and make it a little bit better. So Dallas, I think, is the one who ends up pulling the trigger on this one. Getting into my 7th guy, I got DJ Moore. Man, I love DJ Moore. I think he's a great veteran wide receiver. I don't think Chicago's utilizing him very much, especially with the resurgence of Roma Dunze and with Luther Burden. They just drafted him. He's been picking it up a little bit. DJ Moore is looking like the odd man out over there. I think there's rumors about him getting traded as well. I think at best you can get a 3rd for him because he's still a solid receiver, great veteran presence, worst a 4th. Kansas City could definitely use a presence like him. Pittsburgh as well. I think the Jets would be very wise to go for him as well. And the reason for that, if the Jets do end up drafting a quarterback, having Garrett Wilson and DJ Moore for that starting quarterback to come in, that's great help. So I could definitely see them be doing that to try to help out a young quarterback in the future. And if you don't draft a quarterback, that Justin Fields has a great relationship with DJ Moore and Garrett Wilson. You have him given another weapon, and which could be solid, especially if Mason Taylor takes that next step as well. So he is somebody I think could get traded. Where does he go? I don't know if Chicago does trade him. It really depends on how Luther Burden does and if Roma Dunze can keep it going. But I could definitely see Pittsburgh pulling the trigger on this one or Kansas City. I think the Jets, it might be a little too rich for them, which sucks to say, but I think it could be a little bit too rich for them. Getting into number 8, I got Jeffrey Simmons. And I'm going to flat out tell you guys, I think the place he ends up is New England, and that's because of Mike Vrabel. Jeffrey Simmons loves Mike Vrabel, and Mike Vrabel loves him. I think he fits that defense, the Mike Vrabel defense, so much. And you could put him at DT, you could put him at D end. He could be anywhere on the defensive line and wreak havoc. Best case, I think you get a 2nd for him. Worst, a 4th. Teams that I think he definitely fits. Dallas, again, needs to bolster up that defensive line. New England because of Mike Vrabel. And the Raiders, just they need any defensive help that they can get. And Simmons would fit them so well. But again, I think he ends up in New England. I think it's only a matter of time. They got Harold Landry over there in New England. I think Simmons, it's only a matter of time before the Titans trade him and trade him to New England, which would not be great for the Jets or Bills or Dolphins. Next one, this is a big one because he hasn't been getting a lot of targets over there in Philly. And you could chalk that up to they like to run the ball a lot with Jalen Hurts and Saquon, or that Dante Smith is picking up a little bit more. But A.J. Brown really hasn't been getting a ton of targets over there. He just recently got his first touchdown against the Rams. But again, he's not getting the targets. Jahan Dotson's getting more targets than him. Goddard's getting more targets. Smith is getting more targets. He's a legit number 1 receiver. And again, the best case scenario for him is a 2nd-round pick. I think you'd have to give up a 2nd-round pick for him. He's a physical guy, tough receiver. Worst case scenario, 5th-round pick. Kansas City is obviously a number 1 spot for him. Your Jets, I think, would be perfect for him, similar to DJ Moore. And A.J. Brown would be a perfect complement to Garrett Wilson. And New England, just because of Mike Vrabel, just similar to Jeffrey Simmons. Mike Vrabel loved A.J. Brown too and was pissed when the Tennessee Titans traded him away when he was the head coach of Tennessee. That's really what got Mike Vrabel fired there, was animosity towards the regime or the ownership because they traded A.J. Brown away when he didn't want to, and tried to replace him with Treylon Burks, who was a bust. So A.J. Brown definitely could see getting traded. We will see. Getting into the next one, and this is going to be my final one. That is Xavier Legette. Man, Carolina is not utilizing him at all. They're using Hunter Renfrow. They're using other receivers. Ted McMillan has been stepping up. Xavier Legette is not getting anything. And the one game he was getting targeted, got short yardage and negative yards on most of those carries or most of those catches. So I just don't think they're trying to utilize him over in Carolina. I think he could be a really good receiver. He's still young, tons of athleticism, toughness as well. I think he needs a fresh start out of Carolina. And the best places I think he could go to is the Jets. I've been saying it since the offseason. The Jets, I would have loved for them to trade for Xavier Legette because I think the fans are done with him. I think the team doesn't trust him. I think the Jets would love to have a young, tough wide receiver like him, and maybe he turns it around with us. The Giants are another one. Pair him with Malik Neighbors. I think that could be very fun to watch. And Arizona, pair him with Marvin Harrison Jr., and I think that could be a fun one to watch. Having two young, solid wide receivers, I think it'd be very beneficial. Best case, I think you can get a third for him because he hasn't shown much production. At worst case, sixth. And that's all the players that I really have for you guys. Let me know what you think. Am I off the mark with some of these trades? Do you think there's no way these guys are getting traded? Do you agree with me? Do you think some of these guys could get traded, but who do you think they get traded to? Again, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you hit that bell for any notifications as well. It really does help. It lets you know when I'm posting videos as well. And I appreciate you guys. And thank you so much for joining me in the JETS Jets Ward. Thank you guys so much. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
The Jets Ward.